Hello, hello, hello. I am disappeared again. Hold on one second. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live stream. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. Hope everyone survived. I mean, a little blip on the radar screen, the reversal today, selling of momentum tech stocks again. NASDAQ, I'll show you what especially worried me at the end of today. And we'll go through my line in the sand. I see some comments up here, but before we get to those, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting the like or dislike button. Let's see what's going on. Uh, I'm going to roll it into that. Just was waiting for a couple things to calm down with Tesla, and then we will roll it into the EV stock review. Oh, you're going to put Ford in there now too? So are we adding EV and companies that have EVs? Well, wouldn't that be a whole laundry list of everything at this point? Uh, let's see. Giving back to follow, selling 50 points a day. Is this the end of the rally? I'll tell you what I think. Uh, we have potential a double top on the weekly again. Where does that take us? I'm wondering. Ah, yeah, it works. Let's go back to the thing without all the lines though. So that does potentially work. We have that little triple top on the daily, which slightly favors a continuation. So even if you continue higher, that double is still in play. Let's see. Waka Waka 1240 top of 850 fib place yesterday, hit about 1.618. The pole, same place as the Elliott 5 completed, so I knew it was going to tank. Well, this isn't tanking yet. I call this a one-day reversal with momentum stocks. Now, what I'll show you what also has me worried. And again, my line in the sand though for this, based off the right now, if we break back below this 1057 on a closing basis back below the daily rotation zone, then there's shorts coming in back into this area. Until there, the only minor short is for the potential gap fill. But that's, we could easily get that and a rotation still back up. I can't discount Tesla. You know, we could easily get fill the gap, and that is not a tank. It got way too ahead of itself, especially with earnings coming up and is still with the insane option volume. Now, what did have me worried? Let's take a look. Now, my next thing would be to watch for the gap fill. Again, in Discord, I said we got the 15-minute close into the gap area right there, and then a quick little reversal. All right. And then right now, this is, by the way, is not a potential double, but here's what worried me. So we have this little, we had a couple doubles in play. You had this double top, which went to area here. We had a little scalp long off some momentum reversal with a short-term capitulation bottom, divergence here, and I'll go through those too. And then we had this little mini double at the end of the day. And what I really liked about this, double bottom triggered, okay? And then it started to run up. And what I really liked was, look at the NASDAQ at the end. NASDAQ went on a huge tear. This is road getting into after hours right in here. And this little sell-off in the close. But look at this tear that the NASDAQ went on. Now compare that to this. So you had some momentum techs rallying back at the end of the day. Not Tesla. Tesla could not find any strength whatsoever. So I'll still be keeping an eye on this tomorrow. And again, bullish line in the sand today. Now we dropped below it on this momentum move, and again, here was a great little. If you're playing from the short side, this was fantastic. So we had that 15-minute double. Let me show you that too, because right off we had that little 15-minute double. Where is it now? That I was watching right here. That I still have the targets on, And on the open, somebody asked, which was a very valid question. So we had this little 15-minute double from yesterday. Now, it did not trigger. But why I was watching for the targets still this morning is because even on this very short-term basis, even though it was not a short play or a trigger right here, it came down because people will still trade or break below this as a double top. So if you're not waiting for a close, people will still hit that and trade it that way, even though I will not. So that's why those targets were still valid, but it wasn't a trade. Just because the targets are valid does not mean it's a trade. And then you just got an immediate reversal on, filling the gap, running up there, and then rolling over. Now the momentum bars, this selling, momentum bars. So just even without putting on your retracements, which you can. So those are your little retracement levels. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So again, now I start watching for a pause. So also just pure price action. Let me take off all these things. What you see here, you see a support shelf, right? You see momentum bars cutting through that support shelf, and then that support shelf returning to resistance with the rollover from the rotation zone, and then more momentum bars. And another person, I forgot who asked in the last, was it Jake? I don't know if you're here, Jake. I think you asked in market overview when I love watching momentum bars. I love watching these kind of things. So this was just a resumption of trend play, but this, as I said, I would play momentum bars with a pausing bar. Another momentum move down, pausing bar, quick resumption of trend. Little pausing area, quick resumption of trend. This last one was tough because I was watching right here for a possible capitulation low. I put that in Discord, and I said also, here's right there. You take off these levels too. Watch, we started to get the rotation up, but I said watch the 62.5, and if that didn't hold, I was watching for a potential double. Just slice through there. Then it went beyond the potential double, and then we got momentum bars again. So those momentum bars, what were here? You got the pullback, return back above, and then this was a nice little rotation up. I said these are scalp longs only. Scalp longs only to the upside during lunch. So scalp longs only, and then it stalled out at between this 1162 and 1164.70 area to the upside, then just rolling over. This was a little mini double top. It does qualify. There's this rotation in there. So there's your double top pattern. Then, as I said before, with the NASDAQ rallying back, you have this double bottom pattern, and it could not get any traction. Finally got just close to the first target at the end of the day, but then it was just, this isn't something I'd even hold overnight because weakness into his, and you could essentially scratch the trade if you got in here, scratch the trade off. I'm not counting on that with that additional weakness and everything. I'm leaving these targets on for tomorrow morning, especially for this key area. So bullish line of sand for me tomorrow is 1163 area. You start getting above there, I will start to watch for retracement plays up into this area up here. If we can't get above there, key area I will watch for the breakdowns is this afternoon little support ledge. Okay, also, from this area to these highs, we have the 62.5. That's my early warning sign, but I'll be watching for this little support ledge. When we start breaking there, I'll be watching for the lows. We break the lows. Let me update these levels. We break the lows. Next target is 1113 area. This little cluster, 1112.88, 1113. Next target below there is about 1102. Then I'm back to 1093, which we gap through right in here. And look, we have a long lot of targets down to the full gap fill. All right, but my first ones are 1112 and 1102 to the downside, and I will specifically be watching the, first off, two things. I mentioned this in market overview. If you're not already watching it, key things to have on your watch list and check in. I know a bunch more people are checking in on the NASDAQ, but really keep an eye on the 10-year notes, ZN1. By the way, if you don't get this real time, you should. If you pay, it's like $4 a month for the mini subscription. Pay $4 a month. It's to keep it real time. So you get these kind of breakdown moves and can watch for reversals. As long as this is headed lower, high flying tech stocks are going to be under pressure, and you should also see the Nasdaq sell off now. So tomorrow, if you start seeing the Nasdaq red, especially if we're back below the rotation zone, which would close just above today, if you want to recap, watch the market overview. If that starts breaking down lower, again, my Nasdaq targets, just to reiterate, because Tesla trades so much like it, is 1681, then about 1617. So you can watch those key areas on the NASDAQ. But if we start breaking in the NASDAQ, I'm going to start watching for this gap fill. By the way, this 110231 is a major target on weakness tomorrow because of we have the rising rotation zone on the daily. We start getting below that, then I'm still targeting before the full gap fill, which is technically down to the close. I will target this open from last Friday, December 31st, because we also have the harmonic right there. So that is my next target, and then it would be the full gap fill, and then I'd be watching for the close on the rotation zone. So that's the bearish scenario, especially if we have NASDAQ weakness. Also, please keep in mind it's FOMC minutes tomorrow. Okay? So that we could get some volatility in the markets with that. And then it is non-farm payrolls on Friday. Bullish line in the sand, I'm cleaving around this 1163 area, completion of this double, which technically was not stopped out during regular hours. It just would not be a hold for me after hours and pre-market. We start getting up above here though, that's level's pretty key. It was this little support base becoming resistance, which you see held today. But we start getting back above there. We then have some clear path moves. And first target then would be about 1183. Above 1183, I'm watching 1189.55, 1190. Then above there, I'll be watching the 1200. And as I said, one other tip I wanted to give people, I said put that in Discord. Somebody asked me in Discord yesterday how I do if they were long. I forgot who that was. If they were long from, the buy signal down here, or they got in just before that. I said, I'd be looking to cover part into this 1200 area and then trail the rest and look if you get strong rotations up, especially after a partial gap fill, then you can re-add. So it's trading around that core position. Why enough people don't take things off into strength? They wait. In your first, if you didn't want to take it off into strength, again, your first warning sign this morning was when it started breaking down below this key support shelf. It's get something off, and then you can always look to re-add it if you're still bullish. Especially if it gets on that daily rotation zone, rotates back up, you can always re-add it in. But you've locked in profits, and you don't have to worry about riding something all the way up and all the way back down. Just wanted to cover that. Let's get to comments. I went really long in my other one, so I have to take my dogs out. So let's see what else we have. And I think we'll keep seeing the options trading unless it completely falls out of favor. Yep, it will be. And I think at some point those options will just dry up. I don't think it's yet. But I would not be surprised to see them dry up some point in first quarter, especially with if Tesla starts dropping back down substantially. But this is not a substantial enough drop for me yet to do that. Is that an engulfing candle today? No, it's not. It's an outside bar, which is bearish, but engulfing, it needs to engulf the body. The one that tests out the best is if it engulfs the prior body, and this did not engulf the prior body. So it's not engulfing. Okay, who are you quoting now? Uh, Jake. Anybody who did get in yesterday is now swamped. Well, they're underwater depending on when they bought. They're underwater depending on if they got in first off the open on this little dip. They're still not on underwater on the closing. They were underwater earlier, but again, if it starts breaking down, latecomers to the party, or it could definitely trigger a little selling wave into this gap fill. Where's the VWAP again? So the VWAP is right around 1163. So that's the volume weighted average price from yesterday and today. So still, there's the majority of people are underwater based off where this closed at 1149. So you can again watch again in the morning and look where that VWAP is. Right at that double and this prior resistance area. That's why now we have a bullish line in the sand there, because you get back above there, you could start seeing some momentum to the upside. But until that happens, uh, it's being very cautious. Oops. Where did my VWAP go? There it is. I don't know why it's not going off. I'll deal with that later. Let's see what else. Yeah, they were trying. It was trying to get some juice going on the 1200s today, but still, you have the selling coming in. Legacy, want to be EV, where you're referring to what? Which company are you referring to, Dave? Ford is going fully electric by 2030, and I mean, I really think that the Ford F-150 electric is going to be a very interesting vehicle. Let's see. They have a solid lineup, but the tech is decades behind Tesla. I don't give Tesla that much credit for the tech. And I don't give Tesla that much credit in terms of true autonomous driving because of their stance on LiDAR. They announced the doubling of their electric F-150 production today. Check out the chart. Yeah, that's when we already checked that out in market overview. Here was the Ford chart. Boom. Wouldn't that be interesting if that becomes the new EV play? Let's see. Let's see. And you know why? I emphasize the downside more than the upside because I'm worried about more people getting hurt, and more people don't look at the downside. The upside in Tesla for most people has been easy because they just buy. I want people to also focus on the downside, Bob, because enough people don't, especially key lines of sand. Like if we break down below this bottom of the daily rotation zone into this area, clear path move back down. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to cover other ones in that one. We'll have to do it tomorrow. Let's see. Let's see. It may be very choppy prior to the, especially late morning. The early morning could still be very busy coming off the European session, but the late morning will dry up. I can discuss valuation. You know, I still think it's incredibly overvalued. I'm not one of those cheerleaders that think it's going with all this other stuff. I still think it should be valued closer to an automotive company than a pure tech play. But it doesn't matter. We're just going to trade it technically. I'm just going through the rest of the things. No, there was no talk. I'll cover it tomorrow. Let's see. Wavy will never in his life trade Fords. All right, that means Ford's going way up. Just joking. If Tesla dries up, he's going to Apple. What if Apple dries up? What's your next play? What time does the European session close? It's with the Europeans, and I take the whole European between Germany and England and all of Europe. So it closes around 10 to 11 my time in the morning, depending. Uh, so yeah, so European, I start watching the open around 2 to 3 my time, and they close around 10 to 11. And white watch for reversals. Those are the key times I start watching for reversals. Oh, well, thank you, Wavy. Just always, if you take away one thing, I don't care if you agree with me or disagree with me. That's not the point of this. It's the point to get people to analyze and fine, come up with your own plan. That's wonderful, but analyze both sides and don't go through the day with blinders on, or don't go through the week, or don't go through the month with blinders on. Consider your upside and downside every day, and then manage, whether it's a short term or long term position, manage it accordingly. All right. So that's about it. What's Again, William, join me tomorrow, market overview, and we'll cover Tilray. Until then, I will talk to everyone later. I have to take the dogs out. It's getting dark, and it gets more difficult to walk 5 dogs in the dark. So I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.